I'd like to welcome you. My name is David Gard with the Michigan Energy Efficiency Contractors Association, one of the hosts of the conference. And what we're going to do tonight is, alongside all the great technical information we've been getting through the conference, is really start to think about how do you actually make it happen from a financial point of view. We've got lower life cycle costs with net zero buildings over the life of a project will be very typical and is a real plus, but it also often comes with a greater upfront investment. And so what we're going to do in this session is explore how can you address that reality in terms of paying for the project, and then also kind of related to that, but a step higher or broader, is how do we start building a market that actually recognizes and starts to value these net zero attributes. So to help us with both of these issues, we've got two great panelists tonight. I'll briefly introduce both of them. Jennifer Abraham holds a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Sciences with a specialization in sustainability and resource management. She has a background in environmental consulting, customer service, and field work, and has 5 years of experience in environmental consulting and EWR program implementation. She's with a company called ICF, and as an ICF employee and DTE residential EWR implementer, Jennifer has experience with pilot commercialization, program management, data analysis, and trade ally tools. And she's in this work because she wants to help combat climate change and its impacts. Right after Jennifer speaks, we're going to hear from Casey Murphey. Casey's a vice president of customer solutions at Pearl Certification, where he leads efforts to design, monitor, and improve the third-party certification process that he's going to teach us about tonight. He also manages Pearl's builder and rater networks. He began his career in construction as a small business owner and a building scientist. He holds a BS in economics from University of Pennsylvania and an MBA from the University of Maryland at University College. A quick note too, just so people understand the logistics of this session, we're going to have Jennifer and Casey give their presentations back to back. As you have questions though, go ahead and type them in, and then at the end of the last presentation, we'll have time for Q&A for both speakers. And I also want to note that we'll be joined by two other people during Q&A to help us field questions. Those people being Ross Igo, who is one of Jennifer's colleagues at ICF, who will have some information if people have questions about it on the consumer's energy side of programs. And then also Patrick O'Boyle with Michigan Saves. For those of you who know about their good programs, he'll be on hand to help us answer questions if that comes up. So without further ado, here's Jennifer.
Sorry about that. Thank you for the introduction. So I'm Jenny, and I'll be kicking it off with some pilots and incentives that DTE Energy and Consumers Energy are offering. So new this year, we have utilities that are offering incentive programs to builders to help them achieve these all-electric homes and help with funding to build these new homes. So we have both DTE Energy and Consumers Energy that are launching pilots, and they are running through November of next year. So definitely gives you time to submit applications for this program. DTE is currently accepting applications, and Consumers will soon be launching and then accepting applications then. So this pilot is made to incentivize builders to make these energy efficient upgrades, including all electric housing. And we're not just looking at the equipment, but just the whole home and how to get there. In order to participate in the pilot, builders are required to submit an application along with their building plans, also required to work with a home energy rater or a HERS rater. And then they must meet the heat pump requirements, which includes having a ground source or an air source heat pump as the primary heating equipment in their home. And lastly, they must meet a HERS score. So we're not just looking at the equipment, we're looking at the whole building envelope. We want to make sure that this is a good house that the builder is working on and that their client is satisfied with their comfort and energy savings. So first up, we have the DTE Pilot. This one is actually already launched, and it's eligible for homes or builders that are building within DTE's electric service territory. So that's DTE electric only, or also their dual fuel territory, which would include the Ann Arbor area in Southeast Michigan. What we're accepting are single family homes as well as full gut rehabs and also townhome units. And as I mentioned on the previous screen, there's a HERS score that needs to be met. So the requirement of the DTE pilot is a HERS 40 or less. And then if you're able to achieve a HERS 35 or less, there's additional incentives. So just looking at the high level, we have it broken down into affordable housing and market rate rebates. The affordable housing is a little bit more generous. We're offering up to $20,000 in incentives per home or per unit if you're doing townhomes. And then on the market rate side, we have $9,200 in incentives available for builders per home or per unit. And on the right-hand side of the screen, we have a few of the suggested measures to be installed in the home to help you get to this HERS score. And lastly, if you're building a high efficiency home, but it just doesn't meet this program's requirements, we also have a new home construction program where we offer a bit lower incentives there. So we're definitely encouraging builders to go after this all-electric pilot. So here's an example of the rebate structure for a market rate builder. We have it broken down by heating and cooling, water heating, building envelope, and then windows and appliances. This is just a preview, so there's actually more incentives offered for each appliance and then some of our smart devices. But just wanted to show the overview of this. So we have it broken down into a silver and a gold incentive. Just encouraging builders to take that next step. It's already a big step if they're joining this pilot or applying for this pilot, but definitely just want to push them even harder. So we have incentives broken down by different types of equipment and then based on the efficiency. We also have this is actually just a screenshot from our participation application, which I'll be able to share as well. I'll have my contact information at the end of this. So here is how it works. It's an a la carte structure. So looking at an example, so to get to that $9,200, you essentially need to earn it by selecting the a la carte incentive, so either a silver or a gold to get there. So first you must meet the HERS 40 or less. So this house came in at a HERS 34. And then they qualified for the gold heat pump, the silver heat pump water heater, the silver insulation, and then silver windows, totaling $9,200. If this home were to not have a HERS score quite that low, but have one at a HERS 39, that would cap out at $7,500. Similar over here, we have the affordable housing. Example of the rebate structure. You'll notice here, these are just meant to cover a larger portion of the incentive. I won't go through each category, but it's basically the same categories, just a higher incentive there. Another example, a few different items, except for, if you'll notice here, the affordable housing doesn't have a bonus for the HERS 35. Whether you hit a HERS 40 or a 35, you get to max out at $20,000. And moving on to consumers, so also another exciting announcement. This pilot will be launching in 2021, first quarter. So we're currently working on the design right now and getting ready to roll this out to builders. This is eligible for homeowners and builders, homes and builders that are building in consumers electric only service territory, as well as electric and gas. So it just needs to have electricity from consumers. Again, we're working in collaboration with market rate and affordable housing builders with the higher incentives on the affordable housing side. As I mentioned, we're working on the rebate structure. You can also see at the very bottom of the screen, we have a pilot timeline. So right now, October-November timeframe, just working on the items to finalize this pilot, and then the rollout is planned in January 2021. and then building throughout 21, and then home completions by the end of 21. Again, we have similar, it will align with the DTE program in the fact that it needs to meet a HERS score of 40 or less, and then also possible bonuses for 35 or less. And then this one's a little different from DTE, possible HERS bonus for 20 or less. So this is able to incorporate the solar PV. Otherwise, the HERS 40 and the HERS 35 are both before PV is installed, because we truly want to measure the energy waste reduction of this home. Likewise, DTE, we have a standard consumer's energy new home construction program as well. And here we have contact information, and we'll also be accepting questions at the end of this session.
Great, Jennifer, thanks so much. We'll have Ross with us, like I said, at the Q&A session to help us answer consumers' energy specific questions, as well as Jennifer to stick around to help answer general questions and questions about DTE's program. And now I'd like to bring in Casey to talk about Pearl.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I am with Pearl Certification. The mission of Pearl is to make value visible. So what do I mean by that? If you've been in the industry for a little while, you know that the work that we do has a ton of inherent value. Inherent value in terms of energy savings, but also in the comfort, durability, indoor air quality of the homes as well. Unfortunately, that value sometimes is not understood by the general public, nor does it necessarily contribute to a home's real value in terms of dollars. And so that's one of the things that Pearl is trying to do, is to be able to capture and communicate that value, so homeowners, the general public, and other industry actors understand why this specific home is valuable if it's more energy efficient. So just a couple things I wanted to, hopefully you guys can take away after this is thinking of new ways and channels to communicate that the value that our industry provides. So I'll walk through how Pearl does it, but it's really just all of us could do that, to kind of think through how we can translate kind of the building science, the geekiness into language that homeowners and others understand and appreciate. Another idea I want to communicate is that home performance and net zero isn't just a project, it's a journey. We have 80 million existing homes right now, single family existing homes. We need to make those more efficient. For the most part, those aren't going to be made more efficient through a gut rehab. It's going to be over time. And so homeowners can make improvements based on budget, based on their needs over time, to make those homes more and more efficient, and hopefully more and more of them are net zero. To the same extent, if you're building a brand new home right now, it's not enough just to think about that home 1 year from now, but 10 years from now, 20 years from now, who's going to know that that home was built to a higher standard at that point in time? Or is that value going to be lost because it wasn't captured and communicated effectively at the time of construction? So there is some good news. Energy efficiency, knowledge of it, is certainly better known now than it used to be. Here are a couple kind of anecdotes. Energy efficiency is in the top 5% of the most desired home features. Top 6, in 2016, it was part of top home remodeling trends. There was a somewhat dubious study saying that attic insulation and air sealing adds more value than any other home improvement to a home's value, including kitchen remodels and bathroom remodels. I don't have a slide here about some more rigorous studies that have shown that homes that have HERS scores in them, Energy Star certified homes, can sell for 2 to 9% more. There's a study done of Pearl certified homes that say they sell for 5% more. So we do have indications that this value can be communicated and captured in terms of real home value in certain places. And the value is out there. So we have 2 million homes rated by ResNet and HERS, hundreds of thousands of homes improved through the Home Performance with Energy Star program, 3 million weatherization assistant homes. I can go on and on. Certainly any home built under Jennifer's program is additional value that's being added to the housing stock. And we found that when homeowners or prospective home buyers know about that value, there is a price premium. but there are challenges as well. Mostly that homeowners just don't view home performance upgrades in the same way as a kitchen remodel or other home improvements. They just don't understand why they should sink money into attic insulation and air sealing beyond it's going to pay for itself or address a comfort issue. They don't think about it as adding to my home's value like they would a kitchen remodel. They also don't receive upgrade data in any standard format. So even if they get that work done, if they need to reference that work, it's basically lost. They don't have a good way to communicate that to either prospective home buyers to explain why their home might be more comfortable than the next door neighbor's home, or to lenders or appraisers. And then if you're a listing agent trying to sell a high performing home, do you have the tools and resources to really communicate that? So, imagine a home being built to net zero today in 2020. That home might turn over, 2 times. And by 2028, how are people going to be able to know that that home is fundamentally better than, let's say, a home that's just built to code right now? So we have those challenges, and that's what Pearl is trying to do. Is we're trying to translate these green home features in ways that homeowners, home buyers, and others understand. So we kind of divide this up into 4 general categories: building shell, heating, cooling, base load, and home management. And we also certify renewable energy features as well. And we want to be able to capture and collect that information so that a home buyer or a builder can effectively communicate that value at certain points in time and certain transactions. So what exactly is Pearl? You might be thinking the last thing the industry needs is yet another certification. We're not really a certification as much as kind of a Carfax for the home. We actually want to complement and highlight the fact that a home was built to a higher standard, whether or not that's DOE's Zero Energy Ready Home program, or it had a HERS score, it was an Energy Star certified home. We're more of a kind of a point in time living certification so that homeowners understand what they have in the home in terms of R value, in terms of SEER rating of the HVAC system, in terms of a heat pump water heater. And when they make incremental improvements over time, they can add that to their home's score and to their home's documentation, so they can collect and communicate that at a future point in time. And so we work with qualified sources of data, and we certify that and present that information to the homeowner. That might be builders, it might be HERS raters, high quality contractors, be they HVAC, solar, or sometimes programs as well. And so you can think of us kind of as a communication platform to educate homeowners on how to maintain and improve their home over time. So where are we? We are, as I mentioned, both in kind of new construction and time of home improvement. We provide opportunities for different sources to update the home over time. And we provide a kind of a quality assurance through accountability and transparency. And we want to drive market adoption by providing differentiation for our partners. So one of the challenges when we think about, how do we get real estate agents to go green? We have to solve the challenge of what's in it for me. So give them, people do want to do it for the right reasons. They want to do it for the environment, but really we have to make it so that it's the right business move as well, in order for them to kind of participate and communicate the high performance of homes. So one of the things we do is we work with contractors and help them at the kitchen table. So we want to help them explain that if you're an HVAC contractor, perhaps this home buyer should consider a variable speed compressor. Maybe they should consider the ERV or high filtration. And so we want to kind of highlight the fact that this contractor can provide, if the homeowner decides to make these investments, the opportunity to capture that information and add to their home's value. And we try to translate it not in talking SEER or talking about R value, but really highlight what this means to them in terms of their comfort, their indoor air quality. We have data from NRO so that we can say, hey, if you invest in a 98 AFUE furnace or a heat pump water heater, you're going to be in the top 5% of homes in Michigan as it relates to water heaters, things of that sort. So we captured the technical details, and the other thing we do is we populate the Appraisal Institute Screen and Energy Efficiency Addendum so that this document or these improvements can be communicated at times of refinance or at times of home sale. One challenge is that lots of times the real estate industry doesn't know how to properly value these items. Fannie and Freddie do provide guidance that lenders should select qualified appraisers, and that appraisers can and should add value to homes as it pertains to their green features, but it's still somewhat of an uphill battle right now. And so one of the things that we do, and that you guys can do too, anybody can, is fill out the Appraisal Institute Green and Energy Efficiency Addendum based upon whatever data is relevant for that specific home. But then also communicate to the lender that this is a special home. You're not going to select a commercial appraisal for a residential home, and you also shouldn't select an appraiser who has no knowledge of high-performing homes to appraise a high-performing home. As a lender, you should select a qualified appraiser. And then the appraiser should be notified as well that they do in fact have to take this into consideration. If they ignore the fact that the house has, a 15 kW solar system, or the house has 0 energy bills, if they decide not to add any value to that home, they can do that. They have to justify it. They are assigning a value. That value is $0. And so they have to justify the fact that a net zero home doesn't add any value if they decide not to. Or conversely, they can decide to add value to it, which is, of course, what we want to have them do. So that's kind of helping contractors. If a contractor is trying to make an upgrade, such as renewable energy, high quality HVAC, air sealing and insulation, things of that sort. For builders, we want to help them at the model home. There are a lot of builders who just have to invest in builder grade HVAC, single stage equipment. They can't sell the value to their home buyers as to why they might be a little bit more than other builders, because they have higher quality HVAC equipment, they do proper design, they do room by room a measurement of airflow, things of that sort. And so we want to be able to help them sell that value to their home buyers or prospective home buyers in the model home. And so we'll kind of do the same sort of thing in terms of fill out the Appraisal Institute addendum. We'll also highlight if they went through a third-party program. So if it's an Indoor Air Plus home, if it had a HERS score, if it was Energy Star certified. It's funny, we've been into homes that were built 5 years ago, and the seller never knew that the home had a HERS score. The listing agent certainly didn't know. And obviously the prospective buyers wouldn't know, because that information, if the builder even delivered it to the homeowner, they just never even thought about it now that they're selling their home 5 years from now. And then lastly, what we try to do is help real estate agents as well. What's in it for them is they want to win the listing first and foremost. So they want to be able to say, hey, I specialize in listing high performing homes. We can really highlight the fact that your home is high performing. We could sell it quicker and we can sell it for more. And so we map the specific home features to the local multiple listing services green fields to make it easier for the agent to put the home in the MLS. We give them social media content and some in-home collateral as well, home tour cards, things of that sort, all as a way to try to communicate the value of these homes, this home's features. And again, lots of times we're not emphasizing energy. We're emphasizing kind of the comfort and the indoor air quality that is kind of inherent in a lot of these homes. And so I think what all of us are trying to do is kind of spur this virtuous cycle. But we need to be able to have all of these actors work together. It's kind of a value chain where it's only as strong as the weakest link. And so if we're building high performing homes, but no one understands the value, they're not going to be sold for more. Maybe we try to communicate it, but the appraiser doesn't add it, and then it's a bad user experience for the home seller. We really have to try to hit all of these actors in the value chain to really drive market transformation. At the end of the day, if higher performing homes sell for more, that makes investments in making existing homes more efficient easier, because then existing home occupants will say, oh, okay, I actually want to invest in this upgrade, not just to address comfort issues, not just to lower my energy bills, but I can recoup some of this money, not all of it, but I could recoup some of the money when I want to refinance or sell. Or I have to do this to keep up with Joneses because my neighbors are getting their homes more efficient, and I need to be able to make sure that my home is marketable as well. And then lastly, I'll just mention that we're trying to engage homeowners not just at these specific points in transaction points, if they're considering an upgrade or buying a home or selling a home or refinance, but really engage them over time so they understand the value of specific upgrades, how they should maintain it, and things of that sort. So it's a way to kind of connect them with service professionals, whether or not it's, HERS raters, home performance contractors, things of that sort, because this is a long journey. The homes we build today are hopefully going to be around 80, 100, and 150 years from now. And so we need those homes maintained as well. It doesn't do us much good if we build a home now that scores well, that models well, is net zero now, but 3, 4, 5 years from now, it's no longer performing as it should because the homeowners weren't able to kind of maintain and upgrade them over time. So kind of in conclusion, we want to ensure that, if a home is net zero, that's properly communicated. And even if it's not net zero, but has high-performing home features, that's communicated appropriately and isn't just part of kind of the building science industry, but really understood, across the country as being valuable. And then create engagement pathways and platforms to help homeowners get to net zero over time. Again, 80 million existing homes, not all of them are going to get to net zero, but they certainly do need a lot of help. And if we want a carbon neutral future, that is a significant part of our housing stock, and that really needs to be improved. So that is about it. This is my contact information, and I think we can go to Q&A.
That's great. Thank you both, Jennifer and Casey, for kind of starting us off with some good information to have a conversation. Let me just quickly remind people that we are in track 2 of the conference, and we're going to run this session right now until 7 o'clock Eastern. If at that time you want to shift back to track 1, then there's a website that's very easy to put into your browser. It's simply rebrand.ly/track1. And hopefully we might be able to get a visual up on that at some point here, but that's rebrand.ly/track1. I'll just mention that ahead of time prior to getting into our discussion. I've got a stack of questions here myself, but I invite anyone who's attending to go ahead and type any questions in of your own that we can get to during the next 15 minutes or so. The first one that's come in is actually more of looks like a comment, and I'll just toss it out for either one of you to react or just for information. It says Lombardo, which is a home builder, has a fantastic chart of energy costs versus home designs over the last 100 years. So that's just a reference that's out there. While we're waiting for other questions to come in, let me also reintroduce Ross Igo and also Patrick O'Boyle. Patrick's with Michigan Saves, which is a great resource for financing projects here in Michigan. And Ross is Jennifer's colleague at ICF, who I think has a little more expertise on the consumer's energy side of the programs. So you got a panel of experts here to help answer any questions you might have. While we're still waiting for folks that might want to ask questions, I'm just going to start firing away some that I came up with during the presentations. One of which is, I guess, Jennifer, to you and perhaps to Ross. These are great programs. I'm wondering, given the other EWR programs that the utilities are running, are there any that are complementary in addition to this? And the one that I'm thinking of as an example is the Michigan Made incentive that the utilities offer for EWR. Is that that something you can bundle in with what you're talking about, or are the other EWR incentives just separate from this offering?
On the DTE side, this pilot is separate, so yeah, they're siloed in this aspect. I know. I think it's the same on consumer side, but I'll let Ross confirm.
Yeah, that's correct. It would be siloed. So if you're participating in this program, you would just be looking at this. You couldn't, I guess, couple up the two programs to get a greater incentive. So.
Okay, that's helpful to know. I guess kind of related to that might be Casey had talked about net zero often being a journey for an existing house where, you know, it's easy with a new construction to do it all at once, but if you are a homeowner, maybe you don't have the budget to do everything all at once, you have a sequence of steps that you put together for the multi-year project. I guess it would be important to note that that is a situation where you could use the other EWR incentives to bundle and package to help accomplish some of that work over time to get towards net zero.
Yeah,
All right.
definitely. Oh, go ahead.
Nope, go ahead, Jennifer.
Oh, I don't know. Was that directed at me even?
No, it was really just to
Okay.
point out that those programs would be useful for an existing home that wanted to sequence some projects.
Yeah, definitely.
We do
I was
have
just
a
going to
question.
say how these incentives are much larger and just limited time only, so through 2021. So definitely would encourage that. But the other programs will be existing next year as well too.
Okay. We do have a couple questions coming in now. What do you see as the role of the contractor in pushing net zero improvements? Some contractors are dedicated to this effort. Others probably just have it as part of their business, and others probably know nothing about this. So how do you educate more contractors on this arena and train them to do the work? And that's really open to anybody.
So certainly what we do at Pearl is we partner with high quality contractors, and we want to be able to help them communicate why a homeowner should select them and not be commoditized by going with the lowest bidder, right? Anybody can sell a specific equipment, but it really takes a trained contractor to understand, you know, building science behind it, how to properly design it, how to properly install it per work standards. So we want to help them to differentiate themselves and help the homeowner understand why it's valuable so they can improve their home over time. In terms of moving the market, such as others, we actually want to help these high quality contractors to win more projects and take projects away from contractors who aren't educated in building science, who don't invest in workforce training. We hope that if these higher value contractors can win more work, then that will encourage more contractors to invest in their education and in their workforce and deliver you know, added value for their customers.
Great. Anyone else want to address the question of contractors before we move on?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to touch on the fact that DTE and Consumers Energy both have trade ally networks. So they partner with contractors, and we list them online on the Utilities Find a Provider tool. And in order for contractors to participate, we're doing basically they're rewarded by receiving these incentives and being able to apply for them for their homeowners. And we're doing quality assurance to ensure that their applications and the information that they're submitting about the homes is accurate. So we do have those contractors available as a provider through the utilities, just to differentiate them.
Yeah, and you took the words out of my mouth, basically. We definitely encourage contractors to look at those utility programs and partner with utilities, because it's definitely a way to kind of put yourself out there and leverage yourself to, you know, win more work and be able to push the market forward versus some other contractors that might not be participating in some of those existing programs that we're speaking of.
Great. I know Michigan Saves also has a contractor network. So Patrick, you want to take a swing at that?
Yeah, so then that's what I want to just hit on is Michigan State works closely in conjunction with both consumers, DTE, and actually has many of the Pearl certified contractors in the state of Michigan active in our program. We have a network of about 580 residential contractors throughout the state of Michigan currently, and we can provide access to funding. It's a finance tool for both renewable energy and energy efficiency measures. So of the 80 million homes that Casey, mentioned, the percentage that's in Michigan, we can address that, businesses as well, to kind of get that final barrier if to knock that down. If to get to the rebate, you got to do the project, and if you can't do the project, we can help you find the funds to do that potentially. So that's the contractors are an important part of this. We can't do it without those individuals.
And Patrick, you mentioned Pearl certified contractors. So the obvious follow-up there to Casey is, how do you become a Pearl certified contractor?
Well, you can certainly look at our website, and we have the contractor qualifications up there, and you can contact other team members. That's kind of outside of my swim lane, but you can certainly see. But we're looking for contractors that are dedicated to customer service, have good systems in place for customer service, that have the technical qualifications in their trade specialty, be they HVAC, kind of whole home, solar, and yeah, certainly would love to talk with any of them.
So they would definitely be in good company. Mm-hmm. Question here about slides. I'm pretty sure that the slides for both presentations, or for all presentations in the conference, will be available. I don't have the details on that, but I'm pretty certain that will be made available, as well as recordings of all of these sessions. So stay tuned for that. I think the answer is definitely yes. I'm still waiting to see if other questions are coming through. So we have plenty of time. We have till the top of the hour and we've got this great panel here as a captive audience for us. So be great to take advantage of their collective brain right now. What qualifies as a full gut remodel for the electrification program is another question that just came in.
Yeah, so we're looking for homes that are taken down to the studs and are built to the current building code, so 2015 Michigan building code. Ideally looking for homes that don't have the drywall up, or they builders who are tearing back that drywall and able to do like basically new construction, so all the way down to the studs is what we're looking for.
And on the consumer side, pretty much the same thing. We're looking down to the studs, replacing ductwork, having a new HVAC system put in, and also important part of that too would be having the HERS model created or modeled out so it's submitted into the program as well. So it wouldn't just be some remodeling. You'd have to have the entire work done, have the model completed to be able to participate.
If you have any homes or clients that are interested in this pilot and you're unsure if they qualify, feel free to reach out to Ross and I, and we can definitely talk to you.
Jennifer and Ross, is it too early really to have any sense for feedback from either the client perspective or the contractor builder perspective yet? Have you heard anything? Do you have any sense for how the programs appear in terms of their user friendliness at this point, this stage of their development, or how much they're actually making the difference to make a project doable versus not doable?
We've gotten, well, on the DTE side, we've gotten good feedback about the incentives that are offered. We actually did a survey to a network of builders, and that's how we determined the incentives that we would pay. They're meant to offset about 30% of the cost of the equipment that would be needed for this all-electric home, and higher on the almost 100% on the affordable housing. Yeah, so good feedback on the incentives, and more to come. Still very early. We just have a few participating now, so still looking to accept applications.
Yeah, and on the consumer side, we had good builder feedback so far. We've had several interested builders, many of which have had experience building all electric or net zero homes. So definitely allowing them to at least recoup some of the costs that they're used to investing to create or build those homes for their customers. What's going to be interesting for us is seeing on the customer side how many home buyers are interested in building all electric homes. So that's probably one of the more interesting findings we'll have over the next year is through this pilot, builders pushing all electric to their customers or to the potential customers to see if the market interest is there.
Great.
So yeah, I don't know if another question came in or not. So
No, go
I'll
ahead,
certainly,
Casey.
I had a question for Jennifer and Ross, and it's actually kind of twofold. One was just what you mentioned, Ross, about, do customers want all electric homes? Some customers in the general public have found that heat pumps kind of have a bad name because the heat coming out of the register isn't as hot as they expect. And if they live in a traditional home, then that could create issues. And so have you seen any issues with that, with customers coming in with negative connotations of heat pumps because of maybe their experience in an older existing home that doesn't have the building shell of a newer home?
So far, we haven't heard those complaints or worries. It's actually been on the cooking side of things that we've heard the most pushback from customers is because they want that gas cooking that they're used to that is obviously known to, that has been used for years and years versus the induction cooking, which is an oncoming technology that people are still not used to, or there's still some myths to be busted there on that side of the technology. So.
And I guess I had a second unrelated question again, unless David, someone else asked a question from the audience.
No, go for it, Casey.
I'm wondering, especially from the utility perspective, how the net zero homes may or may not be incorporating smart technologies. So we have, batteries coming online now. And so if you're building a home with a combination of batteries, we have, electric vehicles coming online. They're going to be communicating with the grid as well. Is the pilot incorporating any elements of really the connected home and the microgrids that we kind of expect to see in the future?
Currently, the DTE pilot is definitely focusing more on the energy waste reduction. So we haven't gotten into that. We unfortunately don't have incentive for like EV charger setups or solar, any of that. We're really staying, so that would be more with the renewables group, but we're focusing on the energy waste reduction. A little different on consumer side, right?
As my moderator, my job is to do a time check, so we're almost at the top of the hour. A question came in from a commercial developer, specifically on consumers' net zero pilot program. So he's asking who he could contact. I know either Ross or Jennifer could put you in touch with the right person. And as a matter of fact, Annie Cook, I think, is going to be talking later tonight. And she represents the consumers' commercial programs. And so you can learn all you need to from her later on. And then also, again, a reminder to people, if you want to jump to track 1 after this, your web address is simply rebrand.ly/track1. That's rebrand.ly/track1. Or if you want to stay on this track for the next subsequent panel, you're in the right place for track 2. And at this point, with just a minute to go, apologize, we have a few other questions. I think what we can do is capture those questions, though, and find a way to get them answered and maybe circulated to the full group. But I want to thank again Casey Murphy, Jennifer Abraham, Ross Igo, and also Patrick O'Boyle